What's up everyone, it's Austin from Spur Design Garage. If you're new to the channel, first off, welcome. I do design work here. I'm building my own business called Spur Design Garage, so I develop products, I make videos while I'm developing those products so you can see some of the behind the scenes. I plan on doing more videos about cars, more videos about road trips that I take, and yet more business behind the scenes videos. In this video today, we're gonna do a Photoshop car mashup. One vehicle that recently released is the new BMW 7 Series luxury sedan. It is quite controversial. They've taken a very geometric, brutalist, slab style approach. A lot of BMW's vehicles lately have taken a similar approach, large kidney grills. They're all quite controversial. And I'm just trying to figure out how this might translate to a more emotional product like a Z sports car. So what would it look like if BMW was to develop a new Z4 today with their current design language? Let's go find out and take a stab at it. Also, as a side note, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into creating these videos for you guys, so I would really appreciate it if you were to like and subscribe if you end up liking the video. Thanks so much. All right, so I always like to get a rough idea on paper first before I dive into digital. So I'm getting a rough idea of the proportions, the overall styling themes that I want to incorporate into this. If you're not following me on TikTok, go ahead and do so at spurdesigngarage.com. All right, so let's dive into Photoshop. I'm gonna explain to you some of the design decisions that I'm making as well as some of the technical decisions I'm making in Photoshop. I have the BMW 7 Series here as well as the last gen or the current gen Z4. I'm gonna try to figure out how I can incorporate that layer of the front end and warp it and distort it in a way that makes it look like the perspective is matching up. Using a soft brush to fade it into the body style. Luckily, the colors are matching up pretty well, although again, I'm going to make some adjustments there. I felt like this generation Z4 feels a little bit chunky, a little bit heavy, so I want to start to sleeken that up. And incorporating this cue from previous Z4 generation, I think is going to do so really well. It's a very long, lengthy, concave section that really emphasizes the length of the vehicle. And I'm going to do so here as well with bringing that light catcher into the front end and getting rid of that vent that's in the fender there. I think this is going to be more of an electric car at this point, so we don't really need that vent. We could argue that that would allow a little bit of cooling aspect, but we're going to get rid of it. We're going to emphasize the length as much as we can, so getting rid of these vertical elements. The 7 Series has that really vertical vent going up into the headlamp there, so I'm going to see if I can create a little bit more of a dynamic approach by angling that. Using the clone stamp tool now to start to make it look like that previous layer wasn't there or some of those details aren't there, and fade the body style into that a little bit more. Really want this thing to look sleek, cohesive with that front end, carrying in that light catcher into the front fascia. You'll notice that I flipped the canvas a lot. This is to allow me to see things in different perspective and see if I'm catching any perspective issues or proportion issues. Just helps a lot. You can do this with paper too by looking at the paper in reverse and holding it up to a light. So now I'm just making sure that all these details are starting to flow from the front end into the side. Making sure that this central hood region really looks like this powerful muscular object rather than the kind of overly complicated generation that is currently out there. Sleekening up that fender just a little bit. Again, zooming out and in a lot also helps me to just see perspective and proportion issues. I'm gonna go in and match that vent in the other side. I think when I was at this stage, it looked a little bit overly complicated. You know, you have two headlamps, you have the kidney grills, so I'm gonna get rid of that headlamp on the top and just simplify this a little bit. I know that this is making the grill look even larger because I'm getting rid of some of these details that call away attention, but sometimes I think it's good to have something that looks a little bit off. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting. Oftentimes when things are too evenly balanced, in my opinion, it can be a little bit boring. So I'm going to try to make sure that this looks balanced enough but still interesting at the same time. Again, making sure that that light catcher really looks realistic, using a hard brush or a soft brush to brush it in and then a soft brush to brush it out, or using a soft brush eraser rather. Let's play around a little bit with the front fascia. If this is an electric vehicle, maybe we don't need as much grill space, so I don't know if I can incorporate a kidney grill in a different way, maybe utilize this in more of an abstract approach, just hinting at that kidney grill, but I thought that looked a little bit strange, so we're just going to keep it as is for now for the sake of this video. Put in a little bit of an outer glow into this headlamp layer, make it look like it's shining bright. Then I'm going to start filling in these cut lines, these door lines, to make sure that the form is reading correctly. This will just make it really look super realistic, and getting rid of some of the other cut lines that may have been there. Adding in a clamshell grill or a clamshell hood. Super interesting traditional approach. And then just a slight little scallop in the hood itself, feeding from that logo there. And then I'm going to visually widen this just a little bit. I think that's an important factor into making this thing look like it's really planted into the ground and performance oriented. And just brushing in a few of these details to make it look like it's more incorporated. Using a soft brush and a hard eraser oftentimes. All right, so now we're gonna have a little bit of fun with playing up the contrast. This will start to emphasize the body a little bit more. If I want something to roll a little bit more, or emphasize the scalloping nature of some of these body panels, I can do so with overlay layers. Start to call out the attention to the vehicle itself by using an overlay or a multiply layer on the sky. And now I'm gonna throw some color layers on with a low opacity and get this interesting flip effect. You know, the light can be one color, the ground can be another, and it gives this interesting reflectivity, and just interesting contrast to the design itself. So what do you think? Is that an improvement on the Z4? Do you think that the 7 Series BMW design language can incorporate well into a sports car? Or should you go an entirely different direction with a sports car? What is your opinion? Thanks so much for watching, and I really appreciate it. I will be releasing another video in a week or two.